If you clicked on this video, then most likely you don't know much shit about email marketing, and because of that, you are leaving a ton of money on the table by not having a proper email system. And in this video, I want to show you what you actually need to have in place. Whether you are at 50K or 500K, at 1 mil, doesn't matter at what stage you are, you can turn email marketing into your second revenue channel. So you can ask, who am I? So I'm Zach. Over the last 2 years, I've worked with 100 ecom stores. Some of them are huge players like Daniel Dallin, yeah, here's the pic with him actually. Also Samir Mithwani, also met him in real life. Here's Samir. And tons of other guys too, Blake Evans, Ben Fachani, here's a pic with Ben, also in life. Leon, Ecom Debunked, Slash, so basically a ton of guys from the space. And before we dive in, I just want to show you that there's actually a proof of concept that email marketing works. So as you can see, this is just some of my client cases. So for example, this brand, they are making 1.2 mil and campaigns plus flows are bringing in total 500K. Campaigns are bringing, solely 220K. And the craziest thing is that the margin from campaigns is basically, revenue minus cost. So there's no ad spend. And the same thing for recovered sales. So yeah, you can get actually a ton of money from emails. And basically by the end of this video, you'll know how to run emails properly at every stage. So let's say you are at 50K or 100K, 500K, 1 mil per month, or even more, doesn't really matter. I'm going to explain you what you really need to have at every stage, how to actually turn your email into your second revenue channel and pull additional revenue, how you can actually get, additional money from emails. This is basically the general knowledge. How you can actually increase your margins, because, if you get a sale from email, again, there's no ad spend, so your margin should, also grow. And how to increase your conversion rate. The more sales you get from the same traffic, logically conversion rate is going to go up because, you just squeeze additional sales from emails. And basically how to build a proper email funnel that generates, sales on autopilot and makes scaling your store much easier. Okay guys, so let me start with smaller numbers. Let's say if you're making like from 35 to 90K, you should start everything with a warm-up process and flows. If you don't have anything in place, then you should just start from this, even if you're, let's say, at 500K, because this is basically the roadmap, what you need to do to actually scale your email funnel, I would say. So first of all, you really need to make a warm-up process. So, your emails are not going to go to spam. And basically, what we need to do is just warm up the sender domain. And the thing is that when you create a new store, let's say you are a dropshipping store, or, you never had any emails, like never had any proper engagement with your customers, so your sender domain is like really fresh. And if you start sending like some normal volume of emails, then logically your email is going to go to spam because, inbox provider is going to think that you are a spammer. There's a fresh domain just sending emails to someone, and because of that, again, emails go to promotions tab, spam, and they don't work. And because of that, we run a warm-up process. So yeah, basically after we run the proper warm-up process, inbox provider is going to start trusting us. It's a green light for them, and our email is going to always land in the main inbox. So how to actually build the trust, because everything always starts with a warm-up process, as I mentioned. And yeah, we really need to build that trust from inbox providers, because if we don't build it, then, there is no point implementing anything. Let's say you are building like a crazy strategy or anything, but it doesn't really matter if your emails are landing in the spam, Okay, so how you need to run the warm-up process for your, Klaviyo account. First of all, you need to create a pop-up form. And one really important thing is that you need to have a good offer inside. Honestly, I hugely recommend you implementing a mystery discount, or you can just highlight the offer from the website. Let's say in the same way as Marsmen are doing it. So they just have, 50% off and they just highlight it. So in fact, they are not giving away any discount, so they don't lose any money on, giving away a discount in the pop-up form. So your margin becomes healthy, remains healthy. And the same thing with mystery discount. Let's say if you don't want to give much away, then you can just, give away a mystery discount. When they open the email, they're going to get 5% off, so it's a good option. And once you have the pop-up form in place, you really need to turn on this option in the Klaviyo. So it's called double opt-in, and let me explain what it is. Basically, when customers gonna, submit in the pop-up form their email, they're gonna just receive an email like this, confirm your subscription, and they should just confirm if they want to actually subscribe, to your newsletter. And why we implement this? Because if we wouldn't have this, stage, then they would, immediately receive the welcome flow, and the open rates would be awful, because again, your sender domain is really fresh, and we only need interested people in our list. So in this way, we, sort them out. People who clicked, I want to subscribe, they're gonna also, obviously open the first email from the welcome flow. And basically with the double opt-in, we just, turn on these three flows, which are called welcome flow, cart abandon flow, and post-purchase. I think you guys heard about cart abandon maybe. This is one of the most popular ones. But why we turn on these three flows? Because these are the most, opened emails. And I would say that, they will just allow us to, basically just start sending first emails to the customers. And with the double opt-in, only active people can open these emails, so our open rate is going to be high. And this is the whole vision for the warm-up process. What we really need is just to get high open rates and high click rates, And in that way, we just show, again, inbox providers that, we are not a spammer, we are a normal brand. And, we need to run this for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, I would say, Gmail, Yahoo, and other, I would say, inbox providers going to start to trust us, and we can just implement all the remaining flows. So what flows you actually need to have in place is welcome flow, site abandon, browse abandon flow, cart abandon flow, post purchase flow, and checkout abandon. So checkout abandon and cart abandon are the flows when, customer, let's say, reached the cart or checkout and then they left. The browse abandon is when someone checked the product, they were on PDP and they left too. Post purchase, of course, it's like an order confirmation, but what you should also implement is actually an education, let's say, how they should use the product and etc. Things like that. And remaining one is, of course, the welcome flow. The welcome flow is one of the most important ones because let's say someone submitted their email in the pop form, they received the first email, and you should also have the chain of emails, So let's say they left the website and on the second day, they're going to still receive an email, saying, let's say, I don't know, explaining them more about the product, educating them. And in that way, you can, again, just recover the sale and, get them back on the website and, make that purchase. And site abandon is basically when customers just went to the website, didn't even check PDP, and you send this over. But I would replace this if you are running, like, I would say, dropshipping store with win-back, email, which customers received after some time. This is basically the flows that you need to have. And let's go to basically the next scale. Basically, we ran the whole warm-up process. Everything is in place. All the flows, core flows are in place, everything that you need just to recover sales. Now we should start implementing actually additional flows and the monthly campaigns. So what are actually monthly campaigns? These are emails that you send, to your existing list. So let's say there is a Black Friday or Cyber Monday, you can just blast an email to the existing customers in your list, people who submitted their email in the pop form, and they're in our list, So basically you do it manually, but in comparison with flows are, I would say they are automatical emails. They are sent when certain trigger just works, at the moment. So basically let's talk about the next scale. Let's say if you are doing from 100 to 400K monthly. So basically once you reach that scale, right, you really need to start implementing campaigns. And you should send from 3 to 4 campaigns a week. And this is basically what the campaigns calendar look like. You need to have educational emails, social proof, product education, promotional emails, and etc. You really need to be pretty creative with this part and combine different type of emails. Design-based emails, text-based emails, emails from the founder, from the team, a bit, deeper education about the certain pain points. And basically this is what you really need to have in the calendar. And this is just one of the example of calendars that, I normally create for brands, And as I mentioned, your email, you need to have designed emails in place. So here are just some of the examples, what you should have. These are pretty solid designs. And the whole idea actually behind campaigns is to build retention, So, if you have people in your list, some of them didn't buy, So first of all, you can recover them if they, were not converted through the flows. Let's say someone went to your website, right? They submitted their email in the pop form and they were not converted through the flows, right? But they still remain in our list, So it's an asset. You have a list of customers who already bought and people who didn't buy. And when you just send, weekly campaigns to them, you basically have an opportunity to recover a lost sale, from the person that didn't buy a couple weeks ago, or you actually build the retention. If your product is also a good one, you can just, basically just make easy sales from the same customer. And again, the margin is crazy, right? And in this way, you build the retention. And also what I'm seeing pretty often, if the product is, again, normal one, decent one, people can also buy it for, for someone as a gift or etc. So this is basically the whole vision behind the campaigns. Retention is really important. And basically in this way, when you have flows and campaigns in place, you just have a second revenue channel, because first of all, you recover sales, and the second thing is you bring additional sales. And this is basically the channel that squeezes more sales from the existing traffic. And this is just, again, the example that I showed you. Again, campaigns and flows are basically just printing, and you can also send SMS campaigns. Again, SMS are also bringing money. And also when you let's say reach the scale, you're at 100 to 400K, you should start implementing post-purchase service. This is really, really important, because this basically helps a ton of, let's say my clients to scale from 100K to, 500K, because when you get more context from customers, actual buyers, when you get feedback, it's basically the most valuable information that you can have, because you can just reuse it, for generating better ads and also choosing better angles and, even finding sub-avatars or new avatars, So this is like really, really important, and I really, again, recommend you implementing this. And basically you need to have a post-delivery survey and also a post-purchase survey. So first one is when basically they bought, they receive a survey, why they bought, what they were adapting about. And the post-delivery survey is about their experience, what they liked about the product, how was their experience, and etc. And yeah, basically, you'll get a ton of answers from that. So it's basically a sauce. I'm telling you, it's a real sauce. And again, if we talk about additional email flows, automations, this is the second flow that I hugely recommend you to have, because a ton of people are experiencing, I would say, chargebacks. And if you have delivery stages flow in place, then you will not have situations where, let's say, I don't know, your delivery takes too much and people don't know where's their product. They have the tracking number, but they don't really understand what's going on. They feel like they got scammed. But when you actually have a delivery stages flow, you're gonna basically just remind customers at every single stage where their product is. Let's say your order is received and picked up by carrier out of delivery. In this way, they understand that there's actually a process and that their delivery is in the progress. And this is actually like, I implemented this also for Daniel Dallin, for his brand Lens. And this is just, again, this is super valuable, because I've seen so many situations when someone just ordered their product and they just don't know what's going on. Delivery takes too much and they just create the chargeback, the dispute, and your chargeback rate just grows, and you can start just having like problems with your payments. They can get holded or let's say freeze. So ton of problems because of that. And basically in this way you just decrease the chargeback rate and the chance that you're gonna get some problems with your payouts. So basically we went through second stage. So let's go to 500k to 1 mil. This is actually a huge one. I hugely recommend you again just actually focus on this, because this is, I would say, deep sauce about email marketing. So basically at this stage, I recommend you implementing quiz funnels where customers, choose a certain button in the pop-up form. And after they, submit their email, they chose the button, they're going to start receiving personalized email flows. This is like, again, advanced way of running emails. So basically, let's say if someone clicked on, I don't know, this is like Rosabella pop-up form. If they clicked increases focus and memory, then they're going to receive a welcome flow dedicated to that, problem or like pain point they have. And we just, talk about this certain issue. And in this way, you are more likely to actually like convert them. There is much bigger chance that you're going to convert if you actually talk about what they want to hear, because they have a certain issue and you just target that certain, problem, and that way you convert them, And just imagine every single flow, abandoned cart flow, browse abandoned flow, checkout abandoned flow, all of these flows are personalized, So conversion is going to go crazy up. Your flow is going to just perform crazy. And again, ton of like, huge brands are just basically printing with this way, because let's say also Groons or a ton of like people in the Ecom space, even Serenity is also like crazy store. They even have like 5 different actually answers in the pull form. I'm not sure if they actually run personalized flows for their pull form, because I think they're kind of lazy. But if you actually do this is like how we approach bigger brands. You're gonna just basically print. And the thing is that when you have these type of buttons, you are able to create actually segments of people. So you have a list of people who clicked on the gut health button, or you have a list of people who, let's say, clicked on the bloating button. And in that way, first of all, as I mentioned, you send them to dedicated flows which talk about these certain problems. And the second thing is you create also campaigns for every single segment. So let's say if you have customer list of gut health segment, then basically you just send them only campaigns about gut health, and it's just like crazy how targeted is this. And this is basically how you can make money, because huge problem that I'm seeing is that people just send pretty like general emails talking about like some general stuff, no really like analysis of an ICP of your avatar. And in that way, they just, I would say, waste time. They don't make enough with emails, and this is an approach that you should really need to have. Or there's actually a second way. It's pretty, I would say it's the same idea here, but you can run this in a different way. And I'm honestly even a bigger fan of this, because if you are, again, not lazy, what you should do, you should have different PDPs, dedicated to a certain avatar or angle. So let's say you have a low energy PDP and gut health PDP, and you also, you are super, I would say, personalized in terms of using pictures in these PDPs, using advantages, and the whole wording is about that certain product, And when they go to that PDP, again, you show them a pop-up form again, right? You show them a pop-up form, again, now without any quiz funnel. It's just a, simple pop-up form where they just easily submit their email. And you send them again to dedicated flows. So yeah, basically in this way, you just, start printing with flows and campaigns, and you should be good if you do this actually. And I would say when you are at, this type of scale, when you are making like these numbers, then you should also implement Trustpilot flow, because, your brand becomes like, store becomes kind of big, and there's huge traffic coming in, a lot of buyers, and, people start, also leaving some Trustpilot better reviews. And you really need to have a proper Trustpilot in place, because just imagine someone searches your brand name on the internet, and the first thing that pops up up is Trustpilot. They click on the Trustpilot link, right? And there's your store name and there's 1 star and absolutely awful, reviews. So this is really important to implement. What you should really need to do, just, basically send an email asking people for their testimonial, for their feedback, and add this part with stars. And let's say if they click 5 stars, or 4 stars, you send them to the official Trustpilot website. Or if they click 3, 2, 1 button, then you should just send them to, a private feedback survey, like type form, product, or let's say if you are experiencing issues with delivery, also fix this. So again, feedback data is super important. And yeah, basically in this way, you're going to be able to, scale much easier and healthier by implementing all of these flows. And if you watch this video till the end, then you can easily just implement everything that I mentioned here. And you're gonna definitely, print with emails, and it's gonna just basically help you scale much easier when you have a second revenue channel in place, as I mentioned. So if you need any help with emails, you can always book a call in bio with me and see if we're a good match. So yeah, see you boys.